before we found each other, we both loved people who weren't right for us. And those relationships taught us everything about what real love isn't and what we needed to finally get it right.
Yeah.
To unlearn things we needed to unlearn and the patterns we needed to unpattern in order to be in the frequency of what it felt to be an honoring and honest and loyal and integral love.
Absolutely. Yeah, to be grateful for your exes, to teach you the things that you now know you will not tolerate, or that was abusive or not cool or whatever. Like, to know that edge and know that line allows you to know what you do want.
Yeah.
So it flips the script on actual appreciation, gratitude for your exes, which is hard. There's a lot of tenderness and a lot of upsetness that could be harboring in the system, and it's hard to move forward into new love if you're holding that energy, and it will pass over in some way eventually into the new relationship. We're a byproduct of patterns. Everything in nature is a pattern, and there could be some good ones, there could be some negative ones that aren't helping. And so let's dive right in to the patterns of our past.
Okay.
And our past relationships. Let's go there. Let's go right into the deep end and explore vulnerably what those patterns are for each of us. And for me, it was definitely expressing my needs and feeling like if I do, that I'll be too much. Interestingly enough, that's a very usually a female-centric experience. But for me, it was, I grew up with a mother who was just really like very, very animated, very eccentric in like the coolest ways, but also in ways where if I brought up anything emotionally about myself, she would get upset or she would get really extreme, and it would make me feel really like I shouldn't bring up anything because I'll freak everybody out. You know, I'll make my family upset. So I shouldn't
rock the boat.
I'll rock the boat. So like they already have enough going on. So like I'm just not going to break up anything. And I would just harbor it, only child aspect, just like not talk to anyone. And it created autoimmune disease. It created like issues in my life, breathing issues because of grief and just like holding this like inner pain, which comes out as like eventually as a byproduct of illness or disease. Sadly, over time, it built. You know, so that's one that I noticed was repeating in my relationships where I knew I should say something, but it decided like, oh, it's okay. And eventually things would build because my partner would notice that I was holding back and I would know I was holding back, and it created this weird sense of like distrust, even though there was no other reason to really. And so it created this like underlying energy that wasn't spoken about. And it was weird, you know, so. Yeah.
Like an elephant in the room.
Yeah. And so when things of her that were coming up weren't painful, I would express a bit or I would try to fix her, help her, but I wasn't being really
like
confident.
Genuinely
involved. I felt like if I brought up my true truth, that I was just going to get shut down immediately anyways. And I couldn't take at the time that defeating energy because I was just trying to like keep going baseline. Like it was a tender time in general. I was just like trying to get by energetically and emotionally. But yeah, I wasn't stepping into my power. I wasn't speaking my truth. And that's what she really wanted, like to the highest degree. I tried in my own kind of way, but I was still discovering what that looked like for me because I had never done that before.
Right.
You know? So I'm not sure if many of you relate to that. And if you do, please comment and express maybe more about your experiences for sure. But it's quite, it becomes quite a sad habit to just kind of like, just harbor resentment or pain or things like that. Like being a true family member or friend or lover is to be brutally honest no matter what with some good heart. And that's what taught me a lot about this relationship. I broke the pattern by just being like radically honest.
Yeah.
Like I know it's going to be messy.
Yeah.
I know it might not come out perfect. I'm learning. But I'm going to be really real with you because that's what love is.
Yeah, it's fierce.
It's fierce.
It's blunt.
It's really there.
It's compassionately
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah. Like it's fierce, but if it has heart attached to it, it's
Then
like
it's valid.
it's amazing because it's honest, you know? And maybe you don't see the whole picture when you're expressing that truth of the other, but at least it gives you a chance and them a chance to understand what's at,
Right.
what's there, so that you can actually move forward. Because otherwise you're kind of stifling the relationship along the way. And weird stuff can happen from that place of not expressing from at least somewhat of a confident edge, or at least like trying. Yeah. What about yours?
Yeah, no, that's I think a really common one. Mine, also, I guess mine is pretty common for women or female identifying people who feel
It's universal, but there's interesting how certain patterns underlie genders as well.
Absolutely.
And cultures within the genders.
Any
Very
of these
interesting.
patterns, like patterns are not sexist by any means.
No.
Patterns, you can have all different types of weird patterns.
It's unlimited, as it feels like.
Don't know necessarily where they came from, but if you can spot them and if you can choose a different pattern, then there lies your power. So for me, I think the main pattern that I've managed to unlearn and tap into my authenticity around is the ability to express fully and authentically and without fear of judgment and without the need to emotionally or physically or mentally shut down in situations where I feel like other people and especially partners would not be approving or be in a different opinion around how I'm meant to express in any given situation. And so, that shutting down of like my own authentic desire to be a certain way or act a certain way or choose a certain type of experience that perhaps my partner wasn't wanting to be involved in or approved of. So things like that where it was just too easy to just like shut myself down versus like face the potential conflict. It was all about avoiding conflict. And I think
same with mine though.
Yeah.
But in a different way.
In a different way. Yeah, and I think like we do these patterns often show themselves in these situations where you realize that you're not moving towards what you want, you're running away from what you don't want. Yeah, and that's what we talked about in a previous video where we were saying not to run away, not to move from a place of fear, but to move from a place of love and excitement. And when you're moving from that place of genuine excitement about the relationship or about your expression, then you can truly be genuine. And like, being genuine is, I think, one of my top values. Yeah. So being genuine involves also radical transparency, which ties into yours with being able to speak your truth and have boundaries. And
which is super sexy.
That is like
radical honesty.
Yeah, that is like a foundational
refreshing
piece to self-love.
Scary though, but
self-respect.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
It's like if you celebrate yourself and you celebrate your authentic expression, then why wouldn't you express freely and openly and transparently with those you love and those who, whether or not they agree with you or accept your behavior or accept your choices, to choose what your heart wants in like synchronicity with like the actual logic and contexts of certain relational dynamics. And it's all relative, obviously, but I think that really just comes down to a place of discernment. And I think my discernment has been a lot better around like not only my own choices around how I behave or who I choose to be in any given moment, but also around discerning how we can tap into like higher and higher levels of clarity around actually what we want. Like, what do we really want? Yeah. And once you get more and more clear as you experience more and more things that you don't want, or you have more and more patterns that you are not choosing consciously, and you start to delayer and deprogram those unconscious patterns, then you can neurologically literally relearn and reprogram yourself to make those choices that are actually going to be results that you deeply want in your heart.
which
not
is
moving away from fear.
like easier said than done.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I mean, we've been blessed to be able to be aware of things through a lot of pain. Usually pain is like the catalyst in past relationships to like just pound on the door to be like, hey, you gonna look at this? Because like it's gonna get more intense.
Or until
like
you get
things
hit by the
build.
2x4. And that's not never a good time.
Yeah. So like it could be really loud sometimes. A lot of people have near-death experiences or they have suicidal components or like overdoses, like things like that. Like serious, like on the edge, like resetting, like
cosmic reset.
Recalibrating this whole thing.
Or like their house will burn down. Or like
some sort of crazy ass catalyst. Obviously, we're making this video so that it's a preemptive, so that your house doesn't need to burn down in order for there to be like a good next step of awareness, you know. And it's like, again, easier said than done. Like it takes a lot to be able to rewire and reconstruct a new timeline where you're actually exponentially growing no matter what comes at you, because in a human experience you're going to be hit with this, that, and the other just because you're alive, and that's a part of the human experience. But it's how you embrace it, how you move forward with it with grace, and the mindset that you're in. You don't have to be this like toxic positivity individual that's like only think positive. It's like, for us, at least for my experience, it's been acknowledging where I notice the pattern, taking a deep breath, being consciously aware to the best of my ability, and choosing, because we all have the power of choice, to go down the timeline where I feel more empowered, truly, not from just like an ego place, but from a place where it's like, that's my highest good and I know that. And only that will become more and more clear the more that you do it. Because at first, for me anyways, I was like second guessing. I was like, is that the better path? Like, is that genuine? Like, you know, because I'm learning to trust myself. I'm learning to trust my word at that time. And then finally it just compounded and I felt better about it and I felt more confident and everything got better and better and better until eventually it was like, people are like, wow, like you guys are so great at communicating. It's kind of unreal. And it's like, well, that took a lot of choosing yourself and choosing the path that you know is really possible. And knowing that we are malleable to some degree. Thankfully, we caught this at a young enough age where our brain is still relatively malleable.
There's still neuroplasticity.
They're still there, although it's a lifelong experience, right?
Yeah, always.
It can get harder when we get older.
Well, the patterns, the more they get ingrained. Yeah, maybe, but you can also, there's so much like modalities, there's like hypnotherapy techniques, there's so many ways that you can unlearn like 30 years of patterning in 1 hour of breath work, you know, like,
it's true.
It's important to note that as well, because I know people who are in their 60s who are still undergoing like ego deaths and transformations, and
it's lifelong experience. Like, no doubt.
Like choosing to be a different person and live a different life no matter how old you are, because you have the ability to reprogram yourself to whatever you want, and age is not a limitation in that.
No, it isn't. And you know what's interesting is like, since we're just pouring it out here, when I was in past relationships, especially like in high school, I had a fear of abandonment come up just because of my experiences with my parents and just people in my life. Like everybody was just so busy and like it was just, I didn't feel chosen. Right. So I had this fear of abandonment, like just whoever I was going to love was just going to leave. And it did end up happening, mostly because my fear would
it would manifest it.
Yeah, it would create it, because like that's not just like some spiritual like woo thing. It's like whoa thing. It's like genuinely, if you choose to believe that this is what's going to happen to you, and that's what you deserve, you're only literally going to attract people like that.
Yeah.
And it will.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It will show where you're at. That's the beauty of life. It mirrors out what you're thinking, how you're feeling about yourself.
Your
everywhere you go
is reflecting.
It's like it's like a wild game. So the moment that I recognized that, a lot of things shifted. It made it a lot harder, almost in a weird way. Just being aware of the moment, being like, ooh, how do I even respond? I didn't even have the tools. You know, so practicing the art of non-attachment with love still. and really just being good with me no matter what the outcome, which was a big test for us in the beginning. For me, it was just like, whoa, am I good no matter what? And it's like, did some soul searching on that, and then finally got to a better place. And that's actually what ended that like rhythm of someone just leaving. Because if I freaked out, you would have left.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, and no matter what. So even true love is right in front of us, and our patterns can kill it. And so really recognizing that is important. So so some big takeaways here. Please share with someone who is recovering from a painful breakup, worried if they'll ever find that right person, or they're still learning how, to love safely. Safety is such a big key piece for yourself in the nurturing of a relationship. If you don't feel safe, you're only going to go so far. Just knowing that the right person doesn't fix your wounds. That's what I learned. But, they will guide you to heal out in the open, exposed, real time. That feedback is that soundboarding, that honesty transforms everything in your life. And your past isn't showing that you're broken. It's showing that you've grown. Truly. You went through all of that for a reason. It shaped you, as hard as that is, and you're still here, you're still breathing, and you are now going to be able to make more, better choices for your life and everything around you. That's only going to improve your life.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of you for sticking through, no matter where you were at before. And, we all go through our huge dips and ups and all through the experience, but meeting yourself with grace is massive. So please comment, please like if you really enjoyed this this really beautiful little short video of honesty and truth, and reflecting on the past, that our past relationships were key to us becoming who we are now. And without them, we wouldn't be the aware and hopefully not more resentful. But seeing it from a perspective of gratitude for, they were only doing the best that they could with the cards they were dealt, just like our parents and just like us. And the more that we can choose love over fear, the more that we're going to be able to win in this life. And you deserve to win because you're a human being and you're breathing. You've already won. You've already won because of that. But to be able to live a really thriving life is something really important. So if this resonated, please share it with someone who's, they're still figuring out love, and aren't we all? It's like no one's exempt. And don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and hit that bell for our next episode drops every weekend. So,
and remember that your pain does not reflect how much you've been hurt. It reflects how much you've grown and been able to overcome and transcend, be resilient in the face of the things that have caused you pain and have taught you the tough lessons that you wouldn't be here without.
Absolutely. We love you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Big love.
Every week it's like we're getting deeper.
Yeah.
And can't wait to keep sharing.
Yeah, we love you.
Okay.